Why are you erasing all the color people from the grocery aisles? They're going to come after Count Chocula next.
I built this thing from the bottom, they tore it down, I rebuilt it. I give myself a task, you can bet your ass I fulfill it. Yeah, man, I'm talking about Willis, one of the realest to try. My family.
Hey, how could we be on 131?
Pulling the Thread Podcast, episode 131.
We were literally on 132.
Have you heard of nose ring theory?
I mean, I've heard of it, yeah.
Have you seen any of the...
I've seen them. I've seen them.
So the nose ring theory is that people that have nose rings are crazy, and that I don't know why they do it. I don't know if they want you to, if it's like a warning in public, or if they just want to, hey, I'm crazy too. Look at me, I'm crazy. Yeah, okay, you're crazy. We can hang out and be crazy also. But the nose ring theory, I didn't know it was really a thing. I'd always had my theory, like, oh, that person's a nut job. But apparently it's this huge thing all over TikTok, nose ring or septum theory. Mm-hmm. And it's all these compilation videos of these mostly women going absolutely batshit crazy that somebody's calling them crazy because of the nose ring. So they're completely living up to the theory, thus perpetuating the theory even further.
Well, the crazy thing about the nose ring is it's solely, the sole purpose of a nose ring is to be led around.
Or to keep you from breaking out of the fence, right?
Yeah,
we put them in hog rings. We put them in the nose of hogs so that they don't root. Because a hog...
It's an interesting... When you think about the type of people that are doing it, like if you think about the type of people that are doing it, it's an interesting thing that they're doing, especially when they're complaining about the patriarchy, because it's a control measure. It was used as a control measure.
Yeah.
So it's weird that they would graft on to the thing that is actually a control measure.
You take a cow and you put it out in the field. The cow will come to the master all the time to get milked, right? Because it will anesthetize. You put a pig is always testing the wire. You'll watch that pig get the shit shocked out of him. Horse, cow, fucking even an elephant. We can take an elephant and just put a peg in the ground or a little ball weight, and the elephant will stay there for the most part. But the pig is always testing that wire, and they know when that wire goes off because they're testing that thing all the time. And a pig gets out, and a pig goes feral, and within like 6 fucking weeks, they start to grow tusks. Their hair grows out. They turn into a wild fucking pig. And a lot of them with the nose ring, they look like fucking pigs.
I mean, it's an indicator. It's like the one I heard was brightly colored hair. That all poisonous insects have a brightly colored spot. Like if you think about a black widow, or they have this bright color that signifies that they're poisonous. And so these women who are changing their hair color, bright colors, are basically signaling to you that they are very poisonous. That there's something wrong with them. Mm-hmm. And I don't know any that doesn't play out that way. But then again, all women are crazy. So I don't know any that... I've never met one where I'm like... And again, it's levels of crazy, but they'll have some...
Yeah, how crazy? Like you came home and they boiled your puppy, or just crazy like they're going to break a little bit of your shit?
There's a good chance that if they have brightly colored hair, they're going to be screaming about the patriarchy that they've never had to serve under or be part of. There's going to be some shenanigan.
Have you seen all that? So there's all these dating app videos, and all these liberal women, these conservative men are hooking up with them and having sex with them, and then they find out that they voted for Trump or whatever, and these chicks just they just lose their fucking mind that a conservative had sex with them.
I like the one I've seen a couple where it's a woman who just talks up the dude, is like this, he's a great guy, he's a good coworker, blah blah blah, and then they find out that they're Republican, and they just lose their shit, and now they hate them because of that's a mental illness. Mm-hmm. That's a mental illness. If you can stand next to somebody and have a normal conversation and be, just on a day-to-day basis, have a normal conversation, normal life thing going, and then you find out this thing about them that really has nothing to do with your friendship, and that is the thing that there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Not them.
On the other hand, if we're in a group of people and we're having a good conversation, and then you find out that somebody you're talking to, voted for Obama and then voted for Biden and was for open border, can you really still be friends? Like we use that term friend, right? Those weren't friends.
But I think the difference is this. I think the difference is this because
we're gonna laugh at them and kind of snicker and maybe try to have real conversation to show them the error of their way or that we're correct. Whereas the other one's just gonna literally try to light your car on fire.
Again, I look at it this way. I think the difference between the right and the left is I judge everybody on an individual basis. It's their actions that are important, not their affiliations. So again, let's be clear. If you were a fucking member of the SS during World War II and World War II ends and then you spend the next 70 years just doing good deeds to maybe make up for your wrongdoings, that weighs more than the opposite.
Sure,
it weighs more than the opposite to me because again, it's about your personal character. Now, some people will say you can't redeem, but that's a lie. If that's true, then nobody should ever be released from jail. No one should ever be. So you can redeem. So it's more about your personal character than it is about who you voted for. I don't give a fuck who you voted for. That doesn't make any difference. Because the reality is, my vote counts just as much as your vote, which doesn't really count that much at all. Right. So I don't care who you voted for. I don't care what color your hair is or who you're sleeping with. It's your personal character. And if you feel that your lifestyle is so important to push it on other people and force them into the lifestyle that you're pushing, then that is going to be a character flaw. That's going to be a character flaw. I don't have any problem if you want to live your life the way you want to live your life, but it should be exactly the way it was done 20 years ago or 30 years ago, behind motherfucking closed doors. In society, we should have civil discourse, and if you can't have civil discourse, fuck you. That's just, the minute the first I don't care if it's an FBI agent throwing it or a real protester.
Well, I think a lot of times it is an FBI agent.
The minute the first, too bad.
Yeah.
The minute the first rock gets thrown, the protest is over. Smash it with police force. If you are a protest, I look at it like this. If your mom's against, I don't know, whatever, mom's against guns, and you're protest marching, and individuals within your protest march start breaking the law. They start breaking the law. It is behoovant to you to stop that. You should be the one beating them to a fucking pulp. And if it turns out they're a federal agent, guess what? Those feds won't be doing that shit anymore. The only reason why these things get out of hand and the only reason why we can't have civil protests anymore is because the individuals within those protests are not policing their own. If you police your own, then you should be able to fucking do whatever you want to march every day. March every day. But it's the minute you cross that line into violence, you get it back. That's the way it should be. That's the way it used to be, and we had real, like, if you think back to the Vietnam War, we had hundreds of thousands, upwards to 300,000 people march on Washington, D.C. You know what they didn't do? They didn't break windows. They didn't burn fucking houses down, because the minute they did that, they would have got their fucking teeth knocked in. So that's the way it should be. You can have civil protests, but if you're out there conducting any type of violence or any type of property destruction, either you police it or the police should police it. You shouldn't be allowed. That's the problem is we've created this whole group of protesters in the United States right now that are just babies.
Well, the majority.
They're just babies. They're having temper tantrums out. They're having temper tantrums out, and as soon as they get on the street, that the whole goal is to create violence.
The majority of them are paid.
Well, I mean, paid or not, it doesn't matter.
Right, but I mean, it's paid, right? Mob mentality. It's easy to influence a mob. The mob kind of goes with the mob. The mob does mob stuff. That's why
That's why if the mob started beating motherfuckers up who touched the bricks on the side of the road, those bricks wouldn't show up.
Most of them are paid.
I mean, I'm not going to. I think that because again, It's a very CIA tactic. When you say most of them are paid, I doubt most of them are paid.
Yes,
you don't
correct.
have to pay a lot of them.
Correct.
If you have a
There's a group of 20 that show up.
Yep.
They've tracked the phones.
If you have a group of 5,000 protesters, I really only have to put 20 in there, right? I only have to put 20 in there to ramp up the mob, right? I only have to put 20 in there. And if, just like, who was that stupid motherfucker from Arizona? Betts for January 6th? The guy they said wasn't an FBI agent?
I know who you're talking about.
But just like that, when you see the videos of him, like, storm the Capitol, everyone in the crowd's like, he's a fucking FBI agent. He's a fucking plant. And it shut him down. So it didn't really matter what he was saying because everybody shut him down within that protest. And if more people did that, then there would be less violence and people could actually get whatever their message is out that they want.
What do you think about a year in prison for burning an American flag? That's not exactly what it's. Are you up on this?
Yeah, I know. I mean, why not? Yeah, go ahead. And it's not the American flag. It's not the American flag that's an issue. It's not the American flag that's an issue. If I go out on the street and I burn a gay pride flag,
Yep.
It's a hate crime. And
There's
I
a
go to
man
jail.
in prison.
So
There's a man in prison that was sentenced to 15 years that took a gay pride flag off of a church, took it to a Walmart parking lot, and burned it in the Walmart parking lot. Sentenced 15 years.
Yeah.
Turned in, started his sentencing time. I don't remember how far back this is. I do believe he is still in prison.
That's the equal under the law. Either crime is equal under the law or there is no law.
Iran, Mexico, all these. There's tons and tons of countries. Mexico, you get 4 years in prison for burning a flag.
Mexican
flag.
It's not the act itself. I have no.
It's where it's happening in sites.
I have no problem. I have no problem if we say you can burn whatever fucking flag you want. You can burn it because the burning of the flag, the burning of the U.S. flag, is not going to do anything to the United States. It's not going to hurt America if a bunch of fucking teenagers get together or a bunch of Palestinians get together or whoever gets together and burns the flag. That's not the issue. The issue is we've made it a crime with flags that mean nothing. They mean nothing. The gay pride flag is nothing. It's just some bullshit some people made up. No one has gone to war for the gay pride flag. So fuck the gay pride flag. If you can go to jail for burning that particular flag or whatever flag it is, doesn't necessarily have to be the gay pride flag, but whatever. If you can go to jail for that, then you should also be able to go to jail for burning the American flag. Fuck them. The law has to be equal. So, I mean, because I would consider, if you just think about it, right? If you think about it, if I burn a gay pride flag, it's a hate crime. It doesn't matter what my intentions were, whether it was a hate crime or not, meaning it does not matter my intentions. All it matters is that I burnt that flag and I'm going to get charged with a hate crime. When people burn the American flag, when people physically get the American flag and burn it, no matter where it is in the world, it's because they hate it. They hate the idea of America. So, hate crime. Fucking put them in jail for 15 years. I don't give a shit. I don't care. They should be put in jail. So, like, the big one right now is there's some stupid Army veteran who burned a flag in front of the White House. He's a veteran, bronze. I think he has a bronze star, or silver star maybe, and they're making a big deal about it. Jail. Sorry. Too bad, so sad. Jail. He specifically burned it in front of the White House because the president signed that order. If your Trump derangement syndrome is so bad that you want to force their hand, then jail. Sorry. Motherfuckers sat in fucking prison for almost 6 years with no charges because they walked by the White House on January 6th. If the Democratic Party can do all that fucking heinous shit, then let Trump do what he has to do within the confines of the law. The interesting difference is Trump is doing these things within the law. The Democratic Party does everything outside of the law because they don't believe in the law.
So this guy that burnt the flag in front of the White House did it after Trump signed that
Yeah,
bill?
that was the protest. I have no problem with him protesting it. I have no problem with him doing that. But when you strap a jet engine to your back and say you're going to fly across the Grand Canyon, all the consequences of that are yours. Yours. Nobody else's. So you don't get a free pass. That's the problem with the baby generation that we've created in this country. Everybody thinks you get a free pass. You get a trophy if you go to the protest or whatever. They think they get a free pass, and there's no free pass. Somebody is paying for it. Just because the Democratic Party is stealing millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars from American citizens and then paying protesters to go out and do violence, that's not a free pass. Somebody paid for that.
So is that dude in custody?
Oh, yeah, he's in custody, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I just saw it last night, so.
What do you think about 600,000 Chinese people being brought in to go to school here? Have you heard this?
I mean, it's always been so the U.S. university system has always been trying to bring other people in from around the world because it's easy money.
Yeah, didn't Bin Laden go to school here?
I don't know if
His family did.
I don't know if Bin Laden did, but there was a lot of Ladens that went to school here. Yeah,
Isn't
most of the
Xi Jinping's daughter is at Harvard currently right now?
could
I
be
believe.
most of the Saudi Arabian when you think about the Arabian Peninsula, most of the royalty or the princes of princes, they're either going to England for education or they're going to the United States. So again, what do I think of it? I don't care. The reality is, here's the thing that most people don't understand about the when you think about the Soviet Union, right? When you think about communism versus the West, it is the exposure. It is the exposure to the West, not the. I mean, again, we created an arms race that the Soviet Union couldn't compete with, and we crippled their economy. But more importantly, it was the exposure to the West that collapsed the Soviet Union faster than anything else. It was Jordache jeans. It was McDonald's. It was all the things that we have that they do not have, right? That's why when you think about North Korea is completely cut off. They have an internet, but it's a within North Korea internet. We drop phones. iPhones into North Korea that are broke so people can get on them and look and go, holy shit, can people really just walk into a 7-Eleven and buy fucking 44 ounces of soda? Because that deprivation that communism brings to people, that deprivation, they end up being starved for that outside world. And so, you could say, rock and roll and Jordache jeans did just as much to end the Soviet Union as fucking, Ronald Reagan's fucking Star Wars. So it's the exposure that matters. The more we can expose the rest of the world to what we have, the greater outcomes. Nikita Khrushchev, when he came over here with his son,
Meat.
not just meat, just the supermarket itself. He could not believe that this was available to just regular people, like at this level. If you go to a really good grocery store, if you go to a Kroger or something like that, you don't understand that most of the world has never seen anything like that. They don't understand it. And if you go to Democrat-run cities, you can see how all these places are failing because that communist mentality that they have doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It doesn't survive. It doesn't survive the test of time. So all these people who want to get rid of the police or do it never survives the test of time. There's nowhere in the world where this exists.
Do you think this Mondani guy is going to be voted in as mayor?
I really hope so. I hope so. I mean, New York has two choices right now. They have two choices. They can vote this communist in and really, really swirl around the bottom of the toilet. Like, there's nothing he's going to do that's going to make New York City better. It's going to make it worse. Or they can understand the errors. They can understand the errors of the way of the far left Democratic Party, because the centrist Democratic Party doesn't want any of this. The centrist Democratic Party understands that fucking communism is dumb. Or they could they can elect a Republican. And just like back in the day, a Republican can rebuild New York City.
Is that Giuliani?
Yeah, that was Giuliani. I mean, the only reason why people were able to from after 1976 all the way up to now, the only reason why people were able to walk around in Central Park was because of Mayor Giuliani, because he rebuilt that fucking city. And then, just like always, Democrats came in and run a deficit and ruined the city. It just takes time. It takes time. So, like, you like right now, Gavin Newsom is like, the murder capitals are in these states, but they're all run by fucking Democrats.
Every one of them.
Right? They're all run by Democrats.
So has Trump pushed, has National Guard gone into, like, Chicago, for instance? Has that happened
Not yet. No.
When is that supposed to happen?
Well, I don't think he's gonna.
I think it's just a talking point.
No, because okay, what people don't understand is it's a different type of deal. So Washington, D.C. belongs to the feds. Mm-hmm. It's a federal district. So Trump, Biden, anybody bringing National Guard into Washington, D.C., that's not a big hurdle. That's not a constitutional hurdle that anybody is fucking jumping through. Okay, Trump can federalize everybody in Washington, D.C. It's more of a hurdle to go into a state and do the same thing, because it's a state. It has its own municipalities, jurisdictions, all that. It's a lot harder for the feds to do that. They have to actually be kind of invited, kind of. That's why, like, for example, when the National Guard guys went to Los Angeles, California, did they go to where the protests were and stop the protests? No. The only thing they were doing was protecting federal property. So he could do that. He could protect federal property, but they weren't going out into the communities enforcing law. Where in D.C., they're going out into the communities. What's really happening, because people just don't understand how things work. And I will give you an example as someone who was in a riot in Los Angeles. What the National Guard does, or any military organization that gets put into that kind of position, their sole purpose is not to quell riots or stop crime. What they do is they put them in positions, they put them in places that are pretty administrative. So, meaning standing on a street corner. That's very administrative. That's all you're doing, is just standing on a street corner. That's just an administrative position. And by doing that, you're freeing up law enforcement to do law enforcement stuff, right? So, like, for example, when the Marine Corps was in Los Angeles, when we were in Los Angeles, when we were actually on the street, so I don't remember how long we were there, 2 weeks? I mean, we were deployed a long time, but we stayed in, what's the big blimp hangars? Where's that at? Tustin? We stayed in Tustin for a long time before the blimp hangars burned down. But when we were actually on the street, LAPD did 9,000 high-risk warrants. They cleared the books, is what they did. And the only reason why they were able to do that was because we were standing on the street corners. They didn't have to do that anymore. And so that's how the Guard gets used. You are the Guard or whoever. They're getting used in these kind of semi-administrative positions, so the actual dudes can go and do the work. Same thing with when you're down on the border. What you're doing is you're freeing up border agents to be able to actually go do the work, while you're kind of in a, I don't want to say, it's kind of lame to call it an administrative position, but technically it is, because you're not out there hunting down, the guard in DC is not on the streets hunting motherfuckers down. It's all they're doing is showing a presence. They're showing this massive presence in order to get you, the criminal, to go, well, fuck, I can't go mug people, and I can't go mug people on the lawn today because the National Guard's all fucking standing around out there. I'm gonna go somewhere else. And then that frees up the police to go, that motherfucker's at home. Let's go get his ass, right? So that's really what they're doing with it. So it's really just presence.
They keep doing a countdown of how many days with no murders in D.C. Yesterday was day 13, no murders. How many damn murders are happening in
always,
D.C.?
every day.
Every day.
Every day.
And how big is D.C.?
It's not big at all. It's the District of Columbia. It's small.
And are the murders just one group of people, or do you think it's the same murderers murdering over and over?
I mean, I'm sure you have repeat offenders out there that are doing it, because again, there's this portion of the population that once you lock them up, crime drops in every area. Okay. So once you lock them up, crime drops in every area. Disproportionately, that crime is happening in a singular community. And it has a lot to do with, it really has more to do with how that community has been raised to look at law enforcement versus anything else. If your whole community standard is stitches, snitches get stitches and the cops are evil, where do you think crime is going to be committed? Where do you think crime is going to be committed? Crime is going to be committed in the areas where crime can be committed. And so it's those unfortunate communities that get the worst of it. And so, right now, yes, I think it's dumb that I think it's real dumb that they're touting this, like that they're like 12 days with no one getting killed. I think it's super dumb, because eventually what is going to happen is those criminals in those areas are going to figure out what the routine is. They're going to figure out what they can get away. Like right now they're pushing, right? Right now they're probing, they're looking. They're not dumb. Like, these groups of individuals are not dumb. I mean, they're criminals. And so they're going to probe and find where the weaknesses is, and eventually someone's going to get killed. And then what do you do? I mean, then what's your talking point, right? Then the Democrats are going to be like, oh, look, it doesn't work. Somebody got killed. You guys are fucking terrible. Let's go back to the way it was, where people were getting killed every day. That's what the Democrats will do, because the Democrats are fucking whiny bitches. And so I don't think they should be touting that. It's good that they're talking about the crime statistics and how that crime is going down. And I will say this. There's a lot of people that I'm seeing, a lot of people in the black community who's talking about how better it is now that they can come outside and they can do the things that they weren't able to do before, just because of the threat of violence. Not necessarily that they're getting perpetrated on, but the threat of violence. And once that threat of violence is down, people will flourish a little bit.
Have you seen the people at the town hall meetings coming in and being like, you guys are stealing our money, there's going to be an investigation, here's a jumpsuit, you might as well put it on because you're going to prison next?
Yeah.
Have you seen all that?
The problem is,
Mayor of Chicago and all that shit.
the problem is it's not going to happen. I mean, we're in a position now where justice can actually be served in a lot of ways, but we have allowed, the problem for the United States is we have allowed the system to be so corrupt for so long that it's so deeply embedded in the political system that it's very hard to fix, because both sides want to be fucking criminal. They both want to do criminal shit for a certain degree of criminal shit. And it's very hard for, when you have this class war going on left and right, everybody's talking about this class war of left and right. Nobody's paying attention to the thing that's important. The government actually serving the American people in a manner that upholds upholds the Constitution and the traditions of the United States. Because, again, nobody is trying to get to Cuba. Nobody is trying to get to Russia. Nobody's trying to get to North Korea. They're trying to come to America. Everybody's trying to get to the West because the West provides the opportunities that nobody else does. So, fuck the idea of, America's a terrible place. If America was a terrible place, we wouldn't have to have a border wall. We wouldn't have to. So, it's just one of those things where the ideology of these people is ridiculous. It's just fucking ridiculous. The reality is they're a bunch of babies who need to be cared for like a bunch of babies.
When's the last time you were in a Cracker Barrel?
Oh, it's been years.
Do you like that? The food?
I never liked I don't want to say the food was bad. The food was okay, but it was more, it seemed more fried chicken, like everything was mashed potatoes and fried chicken and grits. So
yeah, like down home, I always went there for breakfast. No matter when I was there, I ordered breakfast. And we ate there a lot when we first moved here. Like on the way to Nashville, we'd stop.
That's probably the only time I ever went to Cracker Barrels with you.
When we flew in, Jaeger picked us up at the airport the very first time in Tennessee. And we went straight to a Cracker Barrel in Dixon, ate, and then came home. Mm-hmm. And that was the first exposure to Cracker Barrel. And it was cool. But as time went on, especially like around COVID and stuff, the service was just garbage. Like you would sit in front of you used to be able to walk into a Cracker Barrel, be there about 10, 15 minutes, sit outside, play checkers or whatever, and they'd be calling your name. But then it became, 30 minutes, 2 hours, and it was just nuts. Like we'd go.
You kind of can't judge a place by any standard that happened before COVID. COVID ruined everything.
Yeah. So then it kind of opened up. We went to Cracker Barrel once or twice, I think, on the way back. We stopped on the way back from maybe Blade Show or something. Mm-hmm. Service good, food was okay. But then the food, like, you'd go in there, I don't know, within the last 2 years, I went in there a couple times probably, and I'm like, I'll have this. Oh, we don't have it. Okay, I'll have this. Oh, we don't have that. And I had like 3 things on the menu that I picked. They're like, we don't have. I'm like, how about you just tell me what you do have? What can I have that is similar to these things?
I heard a story. Who knows if it's true? I actually thought about going to our Cracker Barrel there in Dixon, just to see that. This guy was telling a story about how he took his daughter. They had this tradition where they would go to Cracker Barrel on Sunday or whatever, and he took her there recently, and she ordered the same thing she orders every time. Bacon, eggs, and grits. And the lady was like, bacon's not a breakfast. It's not a breakfast meat. You need to pick something else. And he's like, what do you mean it's not a breakfast meat? She's like, it's not a breakfast meat. You have to pick something else. You have to pick. And he just had this little argument with her about whether bacon was a breakfast meat. And that Cracker Barrel doesn't serve it as a breakfast meat. Now, to me, that sounded false because I don't think that's correct. It's bacon and eggs.
Had a shitty server. Yeah.
It's bacon, or they were out. Maybe that Cracker Barrel was just out of bacon or something. Maybe. I don't know. If it's just interesting all the stuff that comes back. I think that the fight's not over. Like I think the fight's not over. I know we got Uncle, what's his name? Uncle
Herschel
or Uncle whoever. I know we got him back on the logo. Mind you, they put them back on the logo, but are they changing the stores back to the way they were before?
Well, I don't know how many actually got remodeled.
Yeah. So, but they're putting him back on the logo. It's time to hunker down, guys, and get Aunt Jemima back. She needs to be on that bottle of syrup. And we need to, the reality is the biggest thing, there's 2 things that we need to do. We need to honor the heritage in this country and honor the people who were here before us.
The Braves.
The Washington Redskins need their helmet back, and Land O'Lakes needs to get that Indian back on the. They need to reappropriate and give that land back to the Indians. I don't understand
the logo.
I don't understand why. To me, it's really weird when you think about it. I get it. The Democratic Party, its foundation, its cornerstone, the cornerstone of the Democratic Party, the rock that holds the entire thing up is racist slave owners. I understand that. I understand that it's racist slave owners. And that's the problem with the Democratic Party, that's the foundation that they're all standing on. Why did the woke left, who thought they were champions and bastions of whatever thing that they thought was evil. They did the most racist stuff they possibly could do. Get rid of the Indians. Get rid of the black millionaire who was on the Aunt Jemima bottle. Like, that's a real the thing that is weird about, like, for example, the Washington Redskins. The Blackfoot tribe, they voted and unanimously said, yes, we want to be a part of that football franchise. They drew that, right? It wasn't some white guy in his basement going, this would be really cool if we had this thing on the helmet. No, it was, the Washington Redskins went through the trouble of actually getting a tribe, having that tribe do the drawing, having that tribe vote and say, yes, that's a fucking awesome thing, put it on the helmet. And then what did the racist fucking woke left do? Made him take it off. Same thing with Land O'Lakes. Why would you take the Indian off? Well, how about get rid of the butter? How about get rid of and just put the Indian on there? No, they had to get rid of the Indian. They're just, everything they do is fucking racist. Same thing with Aunt Jemima. Aunt Jemima was a real person. And in a time of segregation, in a time where the South was still doing everything they could to keep the black community down, this woman rose up and made millions of dollars, was a millionaire when she died, and had her face put on this fucking bottle, likeness of Aunt Jemima. And what did the left do? Can't have that on there. Can't have that on there. They're just fucking racist.
Do you know how long Aunt Jemima's been around? Can you see when that started? Because it was maple syrup then, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's no maple syrup in there at all right now. It's all corn syrup and fucking coloring and bullshit.
Let's take a break while he looks that up.
Sure. Okay, so what did you find?
Is Uncle Ben on the...
I believe Uncle Ben has been removed from the box.
Is Uncle Ben still there? Uncle Ben? Is he still in the box?
No. He's not in the box anymore. The brand was renamed Ben's Original, and the image of the black man was removed in 2020 and 2021.
Look up, was Uncle Ben a real person?
Oh, I'm sure Uncle Ben wasn't a real person, but it doesn't matter.
Was not?
Why are you erasing all the color people from the grocery aisles?
Well, that's why.
Doesn't matter. They're going to come after Count Chocula next.
He wasn't a real person.
Have you seen? Wait, have you seen this? There's a Saturday Night Live skit about this.
Last Saturday Night Live I watched was fucking Adam Sandler.
Hey, look that up about this. It's actually pretty funny. It's who's the actor who recently just shot one of his coworkers? Alec Baldwin. So it's Alec Baldwin, and he's in the board meeting, and it's Aunt Jemima, it's Uncle Ben,
And Alec Baldwin was actually in the
he's in
character.
The thing. So no, but it's Aunt Jemima, it's Aunt Jemima, it's Uncle Ben, and Alec Baldwin is the white CEO, and he's like,
did he kill them all?
No, he's like, we're gonna have to let you go, or it was. I think it was them getting rid of Aunt Jemima. Oh, and Land O'Lakes Indian was in there too, I think. And he's like, we're gonna have to let you go, and he's just explaining to them why they're gonna let him go. And Uncle Ben is like, he's arguing for Aunt Jemima, and then like Alec Baldwin's like, we're gonna have to let you go too, Uncle Ben. And then Count Chocula comes in, and Alec's like, I think he's like, no, you're fine. And they're like, he's more black than we are. They're like,
Count Chocula black?
He's like, Count Chocula's not black. And they're like, look at them lips. Yeah, he's black. It's just the whole thing about why they should fire Count Chocula too. That's pretty funny.
Got it.
SNL.
Yeah, it's SNL.
Okay, so Aunt Jemima is not actually a real person?
It says she's based off of someone real, but Aunt Jemima in general was not a real person.
Came from minstrel films?
Yeah.
And vaudeville, and a vaudeville play or something?
Yeah.
It was a black lady that played a overweight, passive slave woman. Is that what it said?
Think Gone with the Wind.
I never saw it. I probably should.
Nancy Green was the actual person that...
Nancy Green.
Yeah,
and she was actually a slave.
Yeah, enslaved in Kentucky in 1834.
Think of Gone with the Wind.
Okay.
So but that's where you're gonna, if you really want to see what they're talking about, the cook character that in Gone with the Wind, that's what they're talking about.
Okay.
But again, all they're doing is erasing black faces from the grocery store. Black and Indian faces from the grocery store.
Okay, so Uncle Tom was a common slave name. I thought Uncle Tom was something they... Is that... No, I'm thinking Uncle Ben. Okay, Uncle Ben.
Tom is a derogatory term.
Do I remember? Yeah, a black person that sides with white people. They
Not
call
really.
him Uncle Tom.
Not really. It wasn't necessarily side. It wasn't necessarily side with. It was
Sold
just
his own people out.
meaning, like for example, the field hands would call the house hands Uncle Tom because they got to sleep in the big house, right? It's just how they viewed their status, right?
Colonel West. What's
If you what?
what's the black man ran for Colonel?
Yeah, that's West. Colonel,
West.
yeah, something like that.
You ever heard that dude talk? Holy shit. That dude's got some crazy shit to say.
Yeah.
He was a judge, apparently. And he talks
Oh, I
about...
didn't know that.
Yeah, he talks about being a judge in California and how these girls would come before him, 13, 14-year-old, and they've already got 3-4 kids. And their whole plan is that they're going to have 15 kids because they get $1,100 per child. And that, they all live in some Section 8 housing he was talking about. And great grandma had been there, and then grandma died. And and now this 15-year-old kid is like a grandma. It's like just fucking crazy. He's like, how are you a grandma? Like, and they're not even... The person who had originally lived in the home had died 2 generations ago, and they're still cashing the checks and shit. And he'd run for governor of California and lost, to Gavin Newsom on the recall thing. But he's been on.
Imagine that.
They call
California's not
and
voting for a
he's
black
that's what he
person.
says. You might as well, you can just call me Uncle Tom because that's what they call me. And that's what he'd always said. But Uncle Ben. Do I remember correctly that the Uncle Ben's rice had like a riverboat or a paddle boat or something on it? On the logo?
I don't remember seeing a paddle boat. It was just a picture of Uncle Ben.
And that was actually a hotel owner that they used named Frank.
Interesting. How about Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat? They had to remove the cable cars because those are racist somehow.
I mean, probably
I'm just
not.
making that up, but
I know, but there should be
it's gay appropriation. We can't
poop on
use San
there should be
Francisco.
poop on the street.
Is there still a poop map for San Francisco?
Oh, 100%. There's still a poop map. 100%. Have you seen the? Have you seen the guy? There's a video of a guy in San Francisco again, where he's in the street with his pants down, using a fire hydrant to clean his asshole.
I did see it. Yeah, I saw it. That can't fucking be real.
Why can't it be real?
I would think that the pressure coming out of there
You
would
just
do it.
you just regulate the pressure with how you open it.
So you think he opened that?
Oh yeah, I'm sure he did.
Got it.
I
was
don't think
listening.
the fire department came and opened it for him. Well,
Got
maybe
it.
it's San Francisco.
I figured he's just walking past. So Ed Calderon was on Rogan the other day.
Yeah.
Somebody was talking about it on the live, and I thought, I haven't listened to Rogan in forever, ever since he was off YouTube. Apparently he's back now. And I was just looking for something that would, while I was sewing, right? So it's a 3-hour podcast with Ed Calderon, Ed's Manifesto.
Yeah.
And I heard something super interesting. And he said that the fentanyl in the drugs were originally placed in the drugs because of monocropping, right? So they're growing all this marijuana and they're growing cocaine in these exact same fields, and it's pulled all the nutrients out of the field. So the high was no longer there. The plant that was being grown in the soil no longer had the same effect that it had. So they started adding a little bit of fentanyl to it to maintain the high and get that kind of rush and everything. And that was the first I'd ever heard that said. And I just thought that was kind of interesting. And then they were talking about, the bounty on Maduro's head, for $500 million or whatever.
50 million.
Is it 50 million?
Yeah, 50 million.
And he'd said, what do you think that's all about? He said,
Noriega has to be mad as fucking hell. I'll bet Noriega's mad as hell.
is Noriega still alive?
He's in jail. Yeah, he only had $1 million bond
So
or bounty.
one of them had said it's about oil, right? Because Venezuela produces a lot of oil.
Well, I mean, that's the interesting thing about the United States that people don't understand. Like when everybody's like, "Oh, you're just going over to Iraq for oil. You're just going over to the Middle East for oil." Blah 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 blah. We get more oil from the south and the north than we do from overseas. So, yeah, I mean, could you say it's about the oil? I mean, you can, but you can also say it's about the fucking drug epidemic because that shit's coming from Venezuela.
So we have 5 destroyers off the coast, and I guess they're using those for doing like VBSS. So all those fast boats coming out that are supposed to be
22nd Mew.
22nd Mew, yeah.
Yeah, they're over there. The reality is, I think
Are we going to see any Marines go ashore?
not unless
There's ARG and
not unless something happens. So I kind of feel like, again, nobody loves a false flag, but if there's a hornet's nest, right? If you have this hornet's nest that you're telling everybody is a hornet's nest, and every day you keep getting closer and closer to it,
then you're surprised when one of
and
them
then
stings you.
one of them fucking stings you, and you're like, "Oh my god, we got a invasion!" It's a possibility. I don't know if they're gonna. Okay, Trump is a little bit different than our past presidents who just fucking war hawk. He's playing a deeper game than most people think. So again, the 22nd Mew and those destroyers are moving down there closer and closer to Venezuela. Because again, maybe they might get stung. The reality is Venezuela's not going to do a goddamn thing. They're not going to do nothing.
Well,
they're not going to do nothing. When it comes to
but he mobilized 4 million fucking militia.
When it comes to
that's sarcasm.
When it comes to the surface fleet, the Navy, Venezuela's not going to do nothing. They're not going to send fast boats out. They're not going to send.
This is the same guy. Isn't this the same guy that said Elon Musk is reading our minds with
Probably.
Starlink? I'm pretty sure that's what he'd said.
So they're not going to. The 22nd Mew's not really going to. I mean, they'll probably do a lot of good drug interdiction, but that's about it. All Venezuelan will do was change anything that they were doing from let's say a low-flying aircraft situation like Cessnas and shit like that, and boats to land. They'll just go back to a land corridor. They'll figure out how to create a land corridor again, and they'll go to land corridor. What we're really doing is that's that $50 million. That $50 million. What is really going on is I just threw out a bounty on John Willis for $50 million.
We're hoping that his own people.
You have to worry about me. You have to worry about him. You have to worry about one of those fucking sowers in there being like, I can get this shit. That's really what we're hoping for. We're hoping that the money will lure somebody into doing some sort of regime change. Because again, we can't work with Maduro. So he has to go. If you take my $50 million, if I'm like, thanks, here's $50 million, there's a good chance I'm going to be able to work with you. Right? Because you're going to be sitting in the fucking presidential palace surrounded by naked women and $100 bills. And
for
be
$50 million, don't you think Maduro would pick up the phone and be like, hey, can we work something out?
I mean, I don't know. I was actually telling one of my friends we need to get the A-team back together and head on down there because $50 million splits pretty good.
How fast?
But the problem is, politically, it was the Department of Justice who came out and said $50 million.
Pam Bondi, yeah.
Yeah, Pam Bondi. So politically, what they said was for information leading to the prosecution of blah, blah, blah. So they're kind of like, we want to arrest him. Kind of the General Noriega thing they're trying to do. Versus dead or alive. I bet if the Trump administration could somehow get the ears of the generals involved and be like, hey, payable dead or alive, preferably dead, it would be a lot easier to make it happen. Because again, there's when you're the guy that's getting ready to step over the line. So if you're one of Maduro's guys and you're getting, maybe you're the dude who cuts his hair and you're thinking you're going to step over the line. You kind of need to know that you're actually going to get paid. You need to know that you're going to get paid. And so there's this idea that the easiest thing to do would be to kill him. It would be much harder to extract him and bring him to justice, right? It would be easier to just kill him. So that's the problem. Whereas if they just were like, fuck it, dead or alive, I think he'd already be dead.
Don't you think that's part of the whole military presence off the coast? So anybody who would be willing to revolt sees those people as
because it's more of a the reality is it's more of an inciter for any of, like, again, Maduro is going to be just like any other dictator in the world. He's going to have a certain percentage of hardliners that are fucking, to the death, right? He's going to have a certain amount of people that are willing to fly a plane into a destroyer and kill themselves to support him.
Do they have a military? Do they have Air Force?
I don't think they have anything real. I'm just saying that there's always a certain amount of fanaticals, right? When you take a look at Iraq, you had the Fedayeen. You have, even the Nazis had radicals within the Nazi party that were way worse than everybody else. So you always have these fanatics that are willing to fight even after it's over. Like when the war is done, you still have these fanatics. And so I'm sure that all that does is that galvanizes them, having those ships off the coast, because they think, oh, we're going to fucking fight the evil Americans, because they have no idea what the fucking 22nd MEU is capable of, or really a destroyer for that matter.
Do you think we're going to see any kind of action in Mexico at all?
Not the way people are portraying it. Like, people are talking about like boots on the ground. It's not going to be that.
So Ed had an interesting perspective on that. He said, why is all this all of a sudden happening on the other side of the border? And he said, because we're shutting down China and we need to set factories up in Mexico. And you have a lot of labor that can do that type of labor in Mexico as China did. And we're shutting those factories down. Like with the tariffs and everything, apparently, as Brandel had said, and I heard yesterday, DHL said they're not shipping anything there's like 20 countries that are not coming into the United States at all. Apparently there was like under $800 you could still order from China and it would still come in, but they've shut that all off. Norhinko, one of our clients, been a client for a very long time. He's been in the old shop in San Diego. He said that nothing can be shipped out of Japan to the United States right now because of tariffs. And this is his perspective as a man in Japan. He said they can't send anything to the United States right now. The mail service is completely shut down.
Well, I don't know anything about that, but again,
I didn't think we had tariffs with Japan right now.
The reality is, what's in our best interest? What is in our best interest? What is in our best interest is setting up factories in Mexico, creating a middle class within Mexico through setting up these factories that will provide us goods closer, that will be cheaper because we don't have to pay for that shipping.
What NAFTA was supposed to have done.
Again, it's actually within our best interest. And if you pay attention to Trump first election, that's what he talked about, was solidifying North America, meaning Canada, Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, solidifying North America as the powerhouse. We don't need China. It was greedy corporations. Again, I'm a capitalist, but it was greedy corporations that moved everything to China because China was willing to pay a fucking 50 cents an hour. Bring those factories back. The reality is China was willing to pay 50 cents an hour, and our current government, was unwilling to put tariffs on anything that came from China. Put the tariffs, make it cost just as much for them to fucking, the reality is it doesn't cost as much to build it there, but it costs as much to get it here. So keep those tariffs, put Ford fucking down in Mexico City and let Mexicans have real jobs that create a middle class. That in itself is going to help destroy the cartels more than anything, because the Mexican people will have not just Ford plant, but whatever. I don't care. Build Nikes there. And that creates that middle class, and it creates an infrastructure that allows people to do things other than work for the cartel or against the cartel. It's in everybody's best interest if we do that. It's in Canada's best interest if they get their head out of their ass and start cooperating with the idea that North America itself should be the powerhouse, not Europe.
Do you ever watch Monkey Works at all?
No.
It's a YouTube channel that tracks all the flight data. Uh-huh. And I used to see him, and I just kind of listened to the first 15 minutes, get his perspective on things where flights were going every day. And then I realized, man, I'm listening to this, and it doesn't mean shit, right? It doesn't add anything to me. So I just stopped paying attention to it. But what he was saying a lot was that you would track these flights. There was hundreds and hundreds of flights coming from Mexico into the United States. And what they were doing is they were moving people to work in Amazon factories, and then they were taking them back home. And on the weekends they'd go home, and then they would come back, which just seemed odd. But I'd heard that also we had a bunch of Amazon facilities right in Tijuana, I thought.
But I'll bet you
Still cheaper.
Because here, I bet this is how it works, okay? Because again, and this is why you have to have tariffs, guys. I'll bet money that those Amazon workers that are coming from Mexico are contracted and paid from Mexico. So they're getting a Mexican wage, getting on a plane, flying to this thing. It's kind of like it's kind of like here's another example of how how the government sucks and how liberalism sucks too. California ships all its fucking recyclables. They ship all their trash in tanker ships. Boop, 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 boop. It goes over to Vietnam. And then Vietnamese go through it. And they put everything in recycle, whatever the paper and paper, aluminum and aluminum. They do all that. And then it gets put on a tanker ship and boop, 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 it goes back to California. Recycled. And we pay for that. We pay for that.
I know you've seen it.
I've seen it. If anybody wants to see a picture of your, especially if you lived in California, your mail with your name and address on it in Vietnam in a nice, tight paper bundle, I have that picture. And that's exactly, I was like, that was the craziest thing. I was like, what is this? And then the guy was like, California ships all its recyclable material here. We recycle it and then ship it back to them.
Something else he had said in that podcast that it was kind of interesting. He's like, where did the cartel start? Like, how did the cartel wars and the violence start? And he said there was some factioning groups, some people opposing each other. And one of the guys had lured the other opposition's wife in and abducted her and got a hold of his kids and everything and killed her and then hung his children from a bridge. I think it was in Tijuana, and then videotaped it and sent the videotape. And that's when it just kept progressing. Boom, 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 boom. Kept getting more and more violent.
Every generation. So we're talking every generation, every 10 years, you grow up and you think you can do it better than the people before you, right? So every 10 years, we have a whole group of people who take power and they're like, I know better than the people before me, even though they're basing this off of nothing, no experience, no nothing. They're based off no experience.
There's some technology that changes, but nowadays, again, when like your example that you're using right now, I mean, I see these kids coming up that think they can do it better than us, and they can't fucking do it at all.
Well, what I'm saying
there's no foundation there.
What I'm saying is the people in power, and so the reality of the drug trade now. The drug trade's a little different because this could also have to do with money. Not money that the cartels are making, but money that the U.S. government spends. So we had an understanding. The U.S. government had an understanding. The Mexican government had an understanding that drugs are a necessary evil. They're a necessary evil within the economy of the United States, within the economy of Mexico. Mexico made money off of drugs. Americans made money off of drugs. And so there was this standing that was going on since the 50s where certain families, cartels, were allowed to flourish under that understanding. They were allowed to flourish. They were allowed to flourish with the understanding that they would keep it under control, that it wouldn't get out of control, meaning Mexicans, Mexican locals could have the benefit of paved roads and whatever the cartel wanted to put in. There wouldn't be people getting killed in the streets. Americans would have the benefit of clean drugs coming across the border and dope heads in the parks not dying constantly. That was the understanding. And then a new group of people came into power, and zero tolerance for drugs became this thing. And so what they did is they went into Mexico and they cut the heads off of the families. Well, that created a war in Mexico on who was going to control those families. Let's not forget about the hundreds of fucking Mexicans that we trained at the School of Americas in counter-guerrilla warfare. But that's what happened is we went in there because we thought we knew better. We cut the head of the snake off, and now it's like a more better analogy is those spiders that you see that come in your house that look crazy, and then you step on them, and 1,000 baby
it's
spiders
like the
go run around.
right?
Yeah.
So there's 7 heads to it, and it's like the elephants, right? When you looked at when the elephants started going crazy in Africa and started stompeding people and in the middle of the night breaking into people's houses and just squashing them into an oily mess, what they found was they'd killed all of the elder elephants. The elephants used to take all the youngsters out into the woods and teach them how to be adult elephants, right? And when they killed all those bull elephants, there was nobody taking care of those kids, and those elephants just went fucking insane.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what's happening in Mexico because we had this power dynamic, and so now you have more people being killed in Mexico proper than all the wars that we fought in the last 20 years. It's the same thing with, again, if you think about Saddam Hussein, you think about Gaddafi, you think about any of those people.
Yeah, regime change.
There was a standard. We understood that Gaddafi kept Libya in check. Saddam Hussein kept Iraq in check. There was an understanding. And then again, the next generation showed up and they thought they knew better. And so they destabilized that part of the world, which won't be stable probably for another 100 years. Until the reality is, until the United States or some other Western country with a blink of the eyes installs a dictator that is able to rule those countries with an iron fist, because that's the way you have to handle that part of the world. And we will look the other way and it will be fine, and those people will go back to normal lives and dig out their dirt huts or whatever the fuck they're going to do over there. But that's how that part of the world has to be ruled, period. It can't work any other way. You can't, they can't have a democracy in Saudi Arabia. It wouldn't work. That place would devolve into fucking savages within a fucking year, and we would be fighting over there again to put in some other dictatorship. It's just the way it is. And because people think they know better.
In Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, in Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia is one of the
Did we ever have combat in Saudi Arabia?
World War II.
I guess I didn't know that.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, World War II. They didn't become.
So like the Saudi family that's in there
Yeah.
right now and all of that. That's
all, again, in place by Western powers.
Mm-hmm.
We decided who won that. We decided who
Right.
was going to be we decided. And I say we. There was a lot more British influence back then, and it was the Western powers. It wasn't really just America, because
Have you
America was
seen all
worried about
the
other shit.
arresting all the people putting the flags up in Britain right now in UK?
Yeah. That's, again, the reality
It's
is...
a fallen country.
No, it's not. It hasn't. It's not yet. Okay, the reality
How
is...
close do you think they are?
I don't... It depends on what you mean by fallen.
How much power does Parliament have over there?
Again, what most people can't comprehend is, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, whether you lived in Iraq pre-invasion or whether you live in England now. Parliament has no power that has not been given to them by the people. The people can change Parliament. The people can take England back. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're getting. The reality is, the fucking morons at the World Bank and the morons in Parliament they're not looking. The writing is on the wall that the people, the real people of England, doesn't matter what color, race, creed, gender, real Englanders are taking back their country. Now, Parliament could do, there's one of two things that's going to happen. They get on board and they start supporting the people of England, or they continue this fucking swirl around the toilet and they get flushed.
Did you hear Trump say that George Soros and his son should be arrested, tried for crimes?
I mean, again,
When we're talking about World Bank, right? World Economic Forum, Davos, that's where all this bullshit comes from.
I know. Here's the thing.
Who's in charge of
care.
Davos right now? Isn't the Palantir guy been appointed as the head?
I
Peter
don't
Thiel?
want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. If the truth of the matter with all of this, any of it, if you've got evidence that they committed a crime, if you have evidence that they committed a crime, then fucking arrest them. Period. I'm tired of all this, oh, we should arrest this person. If you have evidence they committed a crime, arrest them. I don't want to hear about Tulsi Gabbard leaking this classified information that this person committed treason. Arrest them. And then show us the classified information that says that they committed treason. Arrest them. Let's start putting these people in jail, because until you start giving these people the stick, they don't care. They don't care. They don't care. So arrest them. You know, again,
Who
John
would make
Bolton.
that arrest?
If Bolton committed a crime, arrest him. The Department of Justice, Feds, FBI.
Other countries, they just fly in there.
Oh, we do it all the time.
Right. Who does it?
The FBI. FBI. So when you're talking about criminal investigation, FBI has the jurisdiction to, well, I'll give you, it's just like, how does the CIA operate within the United States? They have an FBI agent standing next to them. So whatever the CIA does and executes, it's by the approval and authority of the FBI. It's the FBI has all. So, like, for example, even if the reality is, when you think of Maduro, if the government was like, if the government of Maduro was like, all right, we've captured him, he's under house arrest, you guys can have him, they'd send the FBI to go arrest him. Like, the FBI operates, again, the day the Soviet Union fell, and we were just dealing with Russia, the FBI went to Russia. So the FBI handles anything that you would consider like real legal stuff. It'll be the FBI. Now, again, there might be a CIA agent next to him, NSA agent next to him, and a fucking DIA agent next to him. It might be a big parade of letters and words, but they'll all be there.
When the U.S. Coal got bombed, it was FBI that was running missions into Yemen there. There was a ton of fucking FBI
Yeah,
you've
seen the movie with, I don't want to say Denzel Washington, but it's not Denzel Washington, where the embassy gets blown up in Kenya and they send all the FBI agents there and then they get blown up.
We could go to the zoo and get bamboo, but the zoo just, did you know the zoo just doubled their prices?
I bet that's a felony.
Probably is. It's probably a felony to do anything with it. It's probably a felony to plant bamboo. What's the big bamboo?
Yeah, I think, the zipline place. Parking lot.
There's plenty of people on Marketplace that chop the bamboo down, and they're like, hey, come pick it up. Some sell it or whatever. But if you ask them, hey, I need the cromms, they grow like ginseng roots, right? If you go out there with a shovel, you can just dig them up, and then they go rapidly.
Yeah.
You just got to place them every 6 feet, and they'll just take over. And you want running bamboo. And the people, like, I know there's dudes typing right now, homesteaders are like, oh my God, no, you don't want running bamboo. You want clumping bamboo. Nope, I know exactly what I want. I want running bamboo.
You need that's a great idea. I think the whole hill should be covered in bamboo.
Then we can get panda bears.
Oh, well, I was thinking a tiger. You need a good bamboo forest for tigers.
For certain types of tigers.
Can you get a tiger in Tennessee, or is that only Texas?
Can I get a tiger? No, well, it's very difficult now because of that bitch Carol Baskins. You know who she is?
Well,
you know Tiger King?
Uh-huh.
So it's interesting. I typed in Tiger King just to see where Tiger King was, and I was surprised to see that he was still in prison. But apparently, when you're in prison now, you can do podcasts and shit. Like, he has a whole social media presence and shit, and I don't think
he's got to be in he's got to be in like a,
maybe,
what do you call it?
A camp or something?
Yeah.
So he said that, like, them going after him, he's not in prison right now for the possible assassination attempt or anything, right? He's in prison for the disposal of the animals. And he said, these animals live, I think he said 15 years. And he's like, I kept them alive to 23. He said they typically euthanize them at 15 to 17 years. And he said, I kept these animals alive to the point where they couldn't even eat themselves. Like, we had to feed these animals. And he said he disposed of a couple of them and buried them. He's like, they were mad that I buried them. What am I supposed to do with them? He's like, I dug a hole with the tractor and we buried them.
I wonder if you...
So the dude that was very instrumental in testifying against him, apparently is the head of Fish and Wildlife or something like that. And this dude is the head of board of directors for Carol Baskin's
Yeah, of course.
thing.
It's always
And there's
some
only
shenanigans.
2 groups that have to. There's 2 people basically, or 2 organizations that can sign off on your ability to have a tiger, and they basically made it so that nobody can have tigers if you're not part of their group. And he's like, because they asked him, and he said,
What, in Florida?
No, anywhere. The
Well, it can't be
entirety of the United States.
That can't be true. There's more fucking tigers in Texas than
There
there
is.
anywhere else.
There
in the
is,
world.
and I think that's coming to an end. When they did the whole, there was a documentary movie about this, and then they did one on apes, and then they got that all passed.
I just can't
so
imagine.
no more tailless monkeys, no more apes. Impossible to have lions and tigers now.
But I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that some Karen from Florida has any regulation to do. I mean, Jesus, they just made short barrel rifles and suppressors illegal in the state of Texas. I don't see how that they could have any influence over what tiger people do in Texas.
Same dude, same group that did those 2 documentaries is working on one right now about big snakes.
Yeah.
So they're trying to ban snakes, and I mean, we've seen it happen. When I was in San Diego, when I was a teenager, they passed something. San Diego passed an ordinance that you were not allowed to have a snake over 4 feet. And so automatically boas, pythons, things like that couldn't be kept in city limits or sold in city limits. But man, I had king snakes that were over 4 feet. So
Joe Exotic is in a medical facility,
interesting. Okay.
prison, not necessarily.
Yeah,
a
he
prison.
did. I think he said he has prostate cancer or something.
Federal Medical Center in Fort Worth, Texas. And in 2022, they lowered his prison sentence to 21 years because he has 2 counts of attempted murder and 17 cases of animal abuse.
Got it. There's a documentary. There's a second Tiger King thing, which was filmed, I think, while he was in custody or in prison. And Carol Baskins, one of her dudes that worked for her, he was at Tiger King's zoo after she had. There's video of her out there vandalizing the shit out of it, like painting it and breaking windows and fucking, damaged his door so that the house couldn't be locked up any longer. There's video of her doing that. And in the second one, her right-hand man or whatever said, yeah, Carol, I was supposed to assassinate him. Carol paid me to kill Joe Exotic. And that's all on the second. He talked about that too. It was a video I watched that was about 30 minutes. And that was when I kind of started becoming interested in the story a little bit more. What were we talking about?
I don't know. Tigers.
Europe being taken over by radical Muslims?
I mean, I think they're just dancing around the corners. I don't think I do have some friends.
The majority of
My-
parliament is all.
My lieutenant colonel friend says it all the time that Europe has fallen, but I don't think Europe has fallen. I think Europe is in the pre-revolutionary stage. They're in the pre-revolutionary stage before real Brits
Where are all
or
the
real
Somalis
French. Minnesota. They're in
Is
Minnesota.
Minnesota in the pre-revolutionary phase?
No, not even close.
How about
But
Michigan?
again,
Michigan in the pre.
this is the difference. This is the difference, John, that most people can't comprehend. Is America is so big that in the scheme of things, Minnesota doesn't matter. Like if Minnesota could fall and become a Sharia governed city, right? Minnesota could technically fall and become a Sharia government city, and no one will care. No one will care. Everybody will be like, who goes to Minnesota anyways? And then one day, an old lady is going to drive through there and get attacked and killed, and something's going to happen to her. And then everybody's going to be like, oh, let's go up there and burn Minnesota down to the ground. It's that thing. You need that catalyst, that one thing that's going to push people over the edge. And the current people in power in Europe
Are not from Europe.
doesn't matter where they're from.
Well,
but again,
they're not from Europe. They
again,
don't look Europe.
They're pushing this agenda that they don't understand. Like they don't understand. In the end, they will get wiped out. It's like what's that damn movie?
Remember the 5th of November.
Yeah, it's exactly what's going on right now. You have people, like when you see British police officers real British police officers going to arrest a woman because
Facebook post.
she made a Facebook post that the government doesn't agree with. Those police officers don't understand that they're next.
That's Australia.
They're next. The people who are trying to steal power in the country, they're next. And once they understand that their position won't exist, things will change. You will have. It won't be like the movie where a bunch of people with masks show up and the guys just put their guns down. Bunch of people will have to get killed. And again, in the end, England will be England. England will never be. Again, that's my hope and prayer, because I do believe that most people understand this. England will never be a utopium for Muslim hatred. I don't think so.
Do you remember Mutual of Omaha? TV show?
Yeah.
About all the animals and shit. What's the modern day?
They were an insurance company, by the way.
Right. And also like Wonderful World of Disney, right?
Yeah.
They always had those cool videos of all the animals down in their burrows and shit. And just the Serengeti waterhole. And you just see mayhem, just animals getting eaten by lions and crocodiles and shit. What's the modern day equivalent of that? Jeff Corwin, right? Jeff Corwin. But he's like super fucking lib. There's the real Tarzan. He's pretty good. I like his stuff. He's building a zoo outside of Temecula right now. They bought, and his girlfriend's name is Jane.
Nice.
She's cute.
Did she change her name to Jane, or
yeah, it's just their online
did he really
presence.
Find,
I think
did
she
he
was.
really find a Jane? That would be
I think
awesome.
she was like a OnlyFans chick that did a bunch of like animal stuff. Not like not that kind of animal stuff, but like toured abroad. And took a bunch of pictures with monkeys and, cats and shit like that.
As they will do.
And then you have... What's the crocodile hunter? Is it Crocodile Hunter?
Yeah, Steve.
Steve Irwin, right? And his son has kind of taken over, and then Bindi, his daughter. I think Elon Musk wanted to use their park for something. He wanted to fucking put a ton amount of money into their park. And I think the story is that Bindi said, no, we don't want to do that because the alignment with Trump was my understanding or something like that. So all those animal people are like would hate anything that we do for the most part.
Well, again, if you think about liberals in general, the party line, the strong party line with all of them is
rewilding.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we're talking about, but they're talking about rules for thee, not for we.
Yeah.
So when they say you can't have a tiger, they don't mean them. They mean
right.
Like when they say you can't have a gun, they're not talking about they can't have a gun. That's because that's the way they are. They're fucking communists.
So here in Tennessee, we can keep a mountain lion with documentation and paperwork, right? We have to. The enclosure has to be 2 acres. Is the guidelines.
Okay, so what do we get 6 cats on the property. Actually, probably go with 5 because they'll probably hit you with that. You need 12 versus. Yeah, that's how the feds will come in here and raid the place because you're a half acre short. So go with 5 cats. Means that ultimately, though, that means you're going to have to put a catwalk inside the.
I don't think that's per animal.
I think but you're going to have to put a catwalk inside the work area so the cats have that space to kind of. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Well, I've said that all along.
To have like a catwalk across the top where it's just.
Well, my plan was to have an indoor enclosure that's full height in the garage.
Yeah, but you wanted an aquarium.
Full height in the garage.
Yeah.
Comes outside, and the outside sun part is elevated so that dipshits can't put their finger and get bit by the fucking cat.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Because for like bobcat, servals, ocelot, stuff like that, you can have those, no big deal at all. But the two, like the man-eater, the type 1 animals, bears, lions, tigers, that's the issue.
Yeah, you really need a tiger.
I'm with you. We should probably get with Mike. We should get with Mike Tyson. He knows about having tigers.
I wonder if he still has a tiger.
I don't think he does. They said that was actually what bankrupted him was the tigers.
I wonder if he still has one.
But if you're doing stuff like that, you need to have meat production, right? You need to be doing goats and sheep and stuff like that.
You already have that.
I'm with you.
Yeah, you already have that.
100%.
You can support one tiger. You don't eat any of your chickens.
That's right.
Yeah, one tiger, one Bengal tiger.
We just get well. It'll be a vegan tiger.
One Bengal tiger. We'll sew him up a tiger stripe suit that he can wear. Have you seen the jungle? In the bamboo jungle up top?
Have you seen the people wearing the tiger costumes that get maimed by the tigers or the bear?
No, did you see that? So did you see the only, I hate to say it, but only liberals. Did you see the guy who identified as a wolf that went up to Yosemite and decided he was going to wear his wolf costume and go play with the wolves?
Got butt fucked by a wolf.
He didn't get butt fucked.
Are we allowed to say that?
So
Yeah, we just said it.
He didn't get butt fucked, but they tore his ass up.
They did tear him up.
Park ranger was like, what did he say? The park ranger said it's the quickest somebody's ever realized that their life choices were wrong.
So what happened?
He went and he was throwing hamburger. Like, this is how that's the problem, is we're raising idiots. Like we've just I don't know if technology is doing it to us or whatever. Maybe there's always been this many idiots. We just get to see that they're idiots. But he went to the wolf pack and he had to have permission because the game wardens were there. So he went and approached. He's in a full wolf costume, a fucking.
Did it look like a wolf or it looked like a dude in a Halloween costume?
I don't know. It looked like somebody going to a furry convention.
That's what I figured.
But he's going to the pack and he's throwing them hamburger patties. So first off, he's food incentivizing them. He's riling them up because there's food present, and he's the keeper of the food. And so he does this thing where he's all the way down on the ground, and then the fucking pack comes over and just starts chewing his ass up.
How bad did they get him? Did anybody intervene?
Yeah, I think the Park Service saved him. They didn't get him very bad, I don't think.
Yeah,
I think what they were doing was just testing. Like, they were testing to see what the fuck this thing was, and he realized he's a fucking dumbass.
Did you have to go to the hospital?
I'm sure he did. At least to get checked for rabies. Goddamn wolf
I wonder
pack.
if, because they tag all those wolves and shit, release most of them. I wonder if they give those wolves rabies vaccinations.
I doubt it. Because you technically don't, in theory, you technically don't need to.
Because nothing out there could give them rabies because there's no dogs out there.
Again, I guess that would wipe out the whole pack. But the pack is very good at neutering the weak. If you're not part of, if you can't do the thing that there's not a wagon cart behind the pack that's bringing up all the elderly and the sick. They don't make it. They don't make it. So, anyways, what else? Where's your list? You normally have it. Well, you only did it once.
I only did it once. I didn't.
Yeah, lazy.
Is that what it is?
That's lazy. That's lazy right there. That's lazy. What do you think, Brandon? Lazy? Yeah, he's going to talk about how he was too busy. That's what he's going to talk about. Lazy. There's 24 hours in a day, John.
It didn't seem like people liked it.
What do you mean it didn't seem like people liked it?
The comments, it just didn't seem like people liked it.
Come on. It's post-COVID. Everybody's lazy.
All right, so what do you think happens in the next week? We're not going to go to war with Mexico. We're not going to put troops on the ground in Venezuela.
Yeah, we're not going to go to war.
That's going to happen.
We're not going to go to war with Mexico. We're going to, through cooperation, through serious cooperation, we're going to influence the cartels to do the things we want to do, or through cooperation, cartel leaders are going to start disappearing. Venezuela, that's a tough call. Venezuela's different than Mexico. And the reason why it's different is, if you think about every time the U.S. government has put a bounty on somebody, foreign leader bounty, we've always put boots on the ground. Like, there's never been a bounty that we were like, we're putting this bounty on, and then the fucking Marines and the 82nd Airborne didn't show up.
And you do not think that Trump's putting National Guard into these high crime cities? You don't think?
No,
That's
they
gonna
are.
happen?
They're putting them in the high crime cities. Again, they put you in these high crime places in order to free up law enforcement. Like, for example, when I was on Firestone in Alameda during the LA riots, which was right across the street from the Watts Projects. We were protecting the city of Southgate. Actually, if you want to be correct, we were protecting the Weatherby gun store that was in Southgate. In theory, that's what we were doing. But the entire city of Southgate, that line on I believe it's Firestone that runs the length. There was 4 Marines, 2 on each corner, all the way down. So after sunset and before sunrise, you couldn't go into Southgate. But us being on the corner freed law enforcement up to go fucking zooming around and doing law enforcement shit. So your crime tick goes way down because you can't do anything.
But if you look at Chicago, right?
Yeah.
They're not. The governor, the governor is not doing shit.
Uh-huh.
The mayor's not doing shit. The chief of police isn't doing shit. So if we put National Guard in Chicago,
Well,
and it frees up law enforcement to do their job, are they going to let them do their job?
I'm going to tell you how that's working. Even currently in the city of in the District of Columbia, the liberals that are forming the jury pools are not prosecuting the people who are being brought in anyways. So Trump is running into that problem there. The problem is everyone is, when you think about the liberal community, they're all liberal until someone breaks into their house and kills their family member. And then they want justice.
Yeah, what they should do
But when it's somebody else's, they don't care. They don't care. They really don't care. Yeah, they'll put up a flyer and a flag on their fucking
when they won't
Instagram
prosecute those
page, but
fucking criminals.
But they're not prosecuting these criminals. So
when they won't prosecute them,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we're going to cut them loose. Now they're your custody. They got to fucking stay with you.
I mean, I wish they would do that.
Yeah, you can marry, fucking
That's what that's actually
little Day is staying on your fucking couch.
Hey, you actually have a good idea.
It's like all these bleeding hearts
No,
around here wanting to fucking take in. We got to feed the homeless. Let them sleep on your couch, bitch.
You have a good idea. They should whenever somebody gets prosecuted for a crime, whatever the crime is, they should create a sideline where it's like, we prosecuted Brandel for shoplifting 4 tortilla rolls off the fucking, what's that thing that spins them? The hot grease machine. And you can take, he's either going to go to jail for a year, or you can take custody for him a year and be responsible for him. Now, if he reoffends, we're going to arrest you too because you decided to take. That's what they should do. They should offer all these liberals a criminal. Just be like, hey, whoever's in jail right now, you want to pick one? You can pick them. You're responsible for their custody. If they reoffend, we're going to arrest you too. You know what would happen? 100 crazy fucking leftists would instantly spring people from jail, and then 200 people would be going back to jail.
Yeah, one would be going back to jail for murder.
Yeah, so, again, that's what they should do.
I like it. Can we implement that Monday?
I mean, Trump could probably do it with an executive order.
Yeah, the problem, but none of this is being solid. Like, as soon as Trump's gone, it's all fucking over with.
If we turn the republic back over to the Nazis, if we turn the republic back over to the left, then yes, it'll all be gone. But the reality is, I don't know if you've been paying attention. I do get a little nervous every now and then, but the reality is, the Democrat Party is losing like 2,000 voters a day. We're not voting. Registering Republican.
Right. Yeah,
So,
I've seen it.
so I don't know if they recover. I mean, again, they're showing I keep seeing this thing about Gavin Newsom. But Gavin Newsom, for the first time in his political career, is actually, there's a possibility that motherfucking, I can't think of his name, sheriff from Orange County, there's a good possibility that California is going to see a Republican, whatever the fuck you call him,
Governor.
That California is going to be taken over by a Republican. There's a good possibility. Now, the problem is the whole system is tainted, and so a Republican governor is not going to help. You have to get rid of all those turds in the lower houses. If you do that, California can come back and grow and become the fucking city that it should be, or the state that it should be. But I don't think. Again, it's interesting, but I don't. It's not going the way they think. Like this whole thing about when they're like gerrymandering Texas. Texas was federally ordered to change their. Texas was ordered by the federal government to change their voting districts. Texas was ordered. California has to break the law in order to change its districts. I think Maryland's talking about redrawing its districts too. Now, it's interesting that both these two liberal Democrat states are willing to gerrymander their lines in order to rig an election somehow. They're willing to break the law to do the thing that they need to do, because what most people don't understand is gerrymandering was invented by the Democrats. Gerrymandering was invented by the Democrats to redistrict the South to disenfranchise black voters so they couldn't vote.
Where does the term gerrymandering? Wasn't it a person's name or something?
I don't know, it could be.
Because it's not Jerry.
No, it's Jerry.
Jerry, yeah, gerrymandering. Where'd that term come from?
Origin 19th century from the name of Governor Elbridge Gerry of Massachusetts, from the supposed similarity between a salamander and the shape of a new voting district on the map when he was in office.
Got it.
Like the difference, the reality is when you look at states that gerrymander their voting blocks, it's always some fucking crazy ass shape.
Yeah.
Where if you look at red states, it's just a square. So one group is trying to manipulate the votes. Another group is just representing its districts. So, Gavin Newsom is a terrible governor. He's actually pretty much a terrible person. That kid who has the podcast, he is fucking pulling up all kinds of shit about the crooked stuff that Gavin Newsom's doing. Like when you talk about his winery, he used the state government to buy that property the same way they're doing with the Palisades in order to buy it at a fire sale. He waited for the fires to go through, and then he bought that property at millions of dollars below market value because he used that state law that says that the state can come in and do whatever. And it's his property. He's a fucking thief. The guy is nothing but a fucking thief.
What's the podcast?
He's like an 80s. He's like an 80s TV star. I can't remember his name, but he's like an 80s TV star who's running a podcast because his house was burned down in the Palisades. And so every time Gavin Newsom's like, this is what we're doing, he comes out and he's like, here's the receipts. They haven't done any of this. All this money has disappeared again because he's stealing all this fucking money. Like 90% of the money that keeps disappearing, guess where it goes? To one of Gavin Newsom's wife's foundations. Yeah, they're just stealing the money. It's such a shell game. And the voters of California, God, I feel sorry for you because you really are so either inept, uneducated, or just don't care that this guy has his hands so far in your pockets. It's unbelievable. It's so far in your pockets. It's unbelievable. Like he does this whole thing about how Texas and Florida have higher income taxes than the state of California. No, they don't. Because they don't have income tax, you fucking moron.
That's why everybody left California.
Yeah, do you think people are fleeing to Texas because they want to pay more taxes? No. You're a fucking moron. God, it's just people... I can't... The thing... if he said something that was true, I would be shocked. Like, if something came out of... Like, if he was like, the sky is blue, I would literally... Tomorrow, if Gavin Newsom comes out and says the sky is blue, I would literally question what color the sky was. I'd be like... Somehow he's profiting off of calling the sky blue. He's monopolized the color blue And if I say it in conjunction with Sky, he's stolen $1 million from the federal government. The guy's a thief. He's never worked a day in his life. Every policy that he's ever had has been bad for the state of California. There's not a single thing that he can point to in California where he's like,
Why do people keep voting for it?
because people are dumb. They're just dumb. Me personally, I don't understand it, but maybe when we talk about the governor of California, maybe nobody is voting for it. Maybe he's just the guy. I mean, they stole one election. Why wouldn't they steal those elections?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So, what do you think happens from between now and next week?
Nothing.
All right.
Nothing exciting. I don't think anything exciting happens.
You remember that brief you used to give on Somalia?
Yeah.
What was it 2.5 hours?
Something like that. Do I want to do it again? No.
Not right now. We don't have time right now. But next week, you remember it all?
I mean, it's already out there like 50 times. Go to
guys keep asking for it.
go to the breakfast videos. I've probably talked about it like 10 times on the breakfast videos. Such an old hat.
Yeah, but we did such a poor
They
job
made a great
cataloging that shit.
They made a great movie about it. You should watch the movie.
Yeah, but you had a ton of shit that I'd already seen Black Hawk Down when you did that. There was a ton of shit in there.
You
that
should
was
go see
not
the
in
movie.
Black Hawk Down.
Yeah, well, because it was all made for TV. Made for TV.
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Okay, I said screwworm. You said hookworm.
You said hookworm. I said
screwworm. Tell me why.
Because
People in the South were retarded from hookworm because
hookworm is really big in the soil here. So hookworm is big in the soil here in the South, and so everybody's running around barefoot, and they get this hookworm, and it makes them slow. That's why when you see,
because it gets in the brain.
Yeah, when you see any portrayals, when you see like any portrayals of the South, like in the 50s and stuff, they're always slow, and you kind of think they're not smart down in the South but it was because of hookworm, because everybody's running around barefoot.
Wasn't from inbreeding?
No, it wasn't from inbreeding. I mean, the Klan did some inbreeding.
Why was there so much inbreeding? Just because they were
because the Democrats wanted to have purity of the race, because they're all, Klansmen in secret. Back then in the 50s, yeah.
Was that when the inbreeding happened in the 50s?
Probably. 60s, more 60s.
In the coal mines and shit?
No, not in the coal mines. That shit wasn't going on in the coal mines. Only real people worked at the coal mines. No, you weren't. There's no liberals in the coal mines.